Hi guys, I'm finally filming a demo of this robot that I showed last week, this one here. Yes, there is some music in the background because I'm filming this in the gym, so that's why there's a bit of music in the background. All right. I'm going to show off the locomotion that we have with this, which is basically translation and rotation on all 6 axes. So X, Y, and Z for translation and X, Y, and Z for rotation. You can see some transform frames here moving around. That's because we're using some optical tracking, using a camera that's actually off frame at the moment. And for any engineers, yes, I have put this on a slip ring. Next, I'm going to show how you can create a camera animation in a 3D software like Blender, and then this will go and recreate that in the real world. We start off at 0, the world origin. Then we move to the left, 1 meter. And then we move straight up, tilt up 20 degrees. And then we will roll 20 degrees. That's the first frame. This is the second one. So yes, we are moving to the left by 1 meter. Let's go to the next. Can you see how it's sneaking up to the same position? What it's doing there is it's taking a rotation and translation vector, and that's how we move. And we are doing a bit of inverse kinematics to make this work. So let's go to the next one. And that was a tilt up. So the camera has tilted up, as you can see there. And then it's a roll. Here we're moving back to the home position. The animation is looped. And you can see the ghost image lining up there, which shows off the accuracy that we can achieve with this. Something else you could use this for is a moving tripod. So you can basically adjust the angles, the height, the position, without ever having to keep jumping behind the camera all the time if you're self-shooting, or it'd be fantastic as a teaching aid. Let's say that we had to go and match this frame here. This is the camera live feed here. And we had to move back to that position, so once we can identify 3 features in the original frame, we can set the robot to go in and match that position there. The main reason why I created this was out of frustration, like most inventions. When I've been doing visual effects supervising, I've been talking with the director and the producer about this great shot they want to make, then I'll say, for that shot we need motion control. And the producer very quickly would say, no, we can't afford motion control. And this would happen again and again and again. And you know, I'm passionate about what I do. I wanted to create these great shots with the director and producer, but they always said that motion control was too expensive. And I was thinking, why is it so expensive? And it's mostly, a conventional motion control system is a 6-axis robotics arm, which can achieve a camera position and rotation anywhere in space, X, Y, Z in translation and X, Y, Z in rotation. And a system can be very strong when the camera is held inwards, but when it's held outwards like this, suddenly you need a lot of power at the shoulder and at the elbow, to use a robotics arm example. However, I was thinking, if you could keep it in all the time, so it's either right close or just straight up like this, there's no displacement away from that vertical vector, is there? And that's exactly what this is. This holds the camera up all the time, directly on the opposite vector to gravity, and so you don't need this huge shoulder strength because there's no displacement, okay, off from the center. And yes, we use the Mecanim wheels, so we're not restricted by rails and such, which is free roaming. You can put this on a film set and then it can go anywhere. You don't have to put rails down, it's very quick. However, because of that, if there are bumps in the floor, bits of dirt, cables and everything like that it has to roll over, you're not going to, because this needs to be a high precision machine. We want to achieve a position matching or repeatability of millimeters, right? So because of that, it does tend to stumble around each frame. The way that I program this, it will always find the exact, there's no such thing as a perfectly accurate measurement in the real world, but to within millimeters, you can match each frame of a camera that you need to. It will wobble around it until it gets there, which means that in its current state, you can't smoothly do a motion control pass in real time. However, most of the time when we're doing these motion control shots, it's mostly for background plates. And there's nothing moving in the background plate. Normally it's a backdrop, there's just props. Normally we shoot the action plate of the hero with the hero plate with the actors in, then we clear them out and then we film the background plate. 90% of the time, there's nothing moving in the background. So that means that you could effectively do a stop motion background plate, and then that would work for most cases for a lot cheaper. And that's the reason why anyone is going to go and use this. One is because it's a lot cheaper than a motion control system, much cheaper than a half-ton robotic arm. There's not all the time required to set up rails and program, make sure the space. You can basically just put it on the floor and it will stumble around it until it gets the perfect position, and you can do that for as many frames as you want. Something else it does, which I think is unique and is something that I've patented, is the ability to take a frame from a picture, a video, something that's been filmed from a month ago, a week ago, 100 years ago, and then this can go and find from that frame the exact camera position, where it was, how far away it was from certain features, the camera rotation, the focal length, and you can go and recreate that with this. So you could do a before and after of, say, a street from 100 years ago to now. It could be used for plates for movies and such. It could be even a before and after of a kitchen refurbishment, showing before and afterwards. And the method I developed is very robust. In fact, you could change a lot of that scene. You only need a few key points, and then it can use those few key points, whether it's daytime or nighttime, if there's lots of light, if there's little light, and you can exactly, to within millimeters, match that same camera pose. And that makes this very unique. There's a really interesting case for not putting a camera on this, but a prop. So you could identify where a prop is in a scene, and then rather than having something CGI, you could put the prop on here and then film it frame by frame, like stop motion, to add it in there. So you could use real elements instead of using CGI elements. On the programming side, I'm using C++, Python, using ROS2, the open source robotics operating system, and OpenCV. I am a visual effects supervisor of 14 years experience. At the time of recording this, I've got Paris Has Fallen on Amazon Prime, that's a big action TV show. I got Find Me in Paris, one of my favorites, on Netflix, and I've got Extraordinary Series 2 on Disney, and of course I've worked on Coronation Street and Emmerdale as well. I spent a very long time on this. I appreciate people ask for more demonstrations and such, but I've run out of time and I've run out of money that I can spend on this. So if you are interested in this, or you're interested in me as someone who does visual effects and robotics, and you think we'll get along, why don't you get in contact and we can make some really exciting things happen.